Good morning, Emina.
Hey, Sean.
We are recording SEOs Getting Coffee, number 3. I haven't got a novelty mug this week, actually. I've just got this floral design, and my coffee is getting cold.
Look at my one. So my one is a very, very special mug.
It's your daughter.
Yeah, it's my daughter rings. Yeah, she's very little here, but a special mug today for me.
Well, it is half term, so in the UK.
Don't remind me.
So, but yeah, so welcome again to SEOs Getting Coffee. Just a brief SEO chat, really, and discussion about anything that's kind of in SEO news at the moment, really, and just generally a chance for, we often have these catch-ups anyway, so it's good to record them and then share them, just to obviously open up the conversations that we have to the wider discussion, really, and anybody else that wants to obviously put their thoughts and input on that. So today we'll probably discuss something that popped up on Twitter with the Google search liaison, and we'll also might get onto discussing link building quickly, and then we'll banish something to Room 404, which is a place where we like to lock away things forever and never have to see them again, but SEO and digital marketing related things that have annoyed us in the past week. So yeah, we'll get started. So I'll actually have to share my screen this time. So let me just share that.
Very exciting that, because I'm looking forward to seeing how in the recording it ends up being. Will we be switching around with the shared screen?
Maybe, yeah, maybe. I'll see that. Yeah, we'll see. So this comes from, so this is something that was from this week. So Spencer Haws, who is the chap behind Link Whisper, which is a WordPress plugin, I think Spotify plugin now, which helps with internal link building. But he kind of did this like ranty type tweet about, Google is slowly killing blogging and blah de blah. But the Google search liaison actually replied to him on Twitter, and it's caused a bit of a stink, really, because there's lots and lots of replies, and lots of lots of people that are kind of all arguing with Google, and it's created a big discussion. But there's one particular bit and one particular thing that's kind of come out of this, which I didn't quite sit right with me, really, and something that has got to the point, really, where what I didn't really agree with, or something that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, I guess, is well, we can essentially what Google is trying to say here, the Google search liaison or whoever's behind this account, is that just reading this particular paragraph, if you wrote, say, 20 fun things you can do today because your primary purpose in doing so was that you wanted to rank well for fun things, rather than this being something you typically write about, that can be a sign that you're producing unhelpful content. So it wasn't something you wrote for you. It wasn't something you wrote for your audience. It was something you wrote for search ranking purposes, and that can often align with unhelpful content. Now, what I don't like about this is it's kind of suggesting or pooling that, like, unhelpful content is that's it. Unhelpful content is aligned with anything that you produce that's, for search ranking purposes. But surely, as SEO, that's what we do. We need to produce things for search ranking purposes. Of course, not solely for, but isn't that the essence of SEO and what we do? So that's the kind of thing that annoyed me the wrong way, is that businesses need to make money, right? Google makes money. And I just kind of find it a bit contradictory from the Google perspective that, like, well, what are we trying to do? We're trying to rank higher, right? Google has ads. Google has its ad platform. Google lets you pay to be at the top.
I know what you mean. Yeah, and completely agree that our job is really to push the rankings, optimize for search. But I also agree with what they're saying here, because that shouldn't be, I think this is going to weed out SEOs who do it for like, not for ranking in the right keywords. It's going to be, you know, those that get traffic for traffic's sakes rather than traffic for conversion and business sakes. So, for example, I could completely agree with what they've said here. It's, yes, you can kind of write 20 fun things you can do today if you're like in that, you know, in that service. Or let's use another example. So you are an e-learning platform and you write a blog, 20 fun things you can do today, and not in e-learning. So just random stuff that your company doesn't do, just so you can rank for fun things because it has X amount of traffic. It's just, it's completely nonsensical. Why would you do that? Because that traffic is going to be irrelevant and it's not going to convert. B, it is kind of against the rules because it's not helpful for those users. You know, those users are not interested in the rest of your site, so they're not going to be going to those areas anyway. So I don't know. I agree with what they're saying, because I can see that it's going to push people not to use SEO tricks. There's a difference between SEO tricks and SEO optimization, because optimization is optimizing stuff that you already do, optimizing stuff online for your business, for your area, whereas SEO tricks.
Yeah, but that's the risk there. I mean, I can understand the respect of, like, you know, if you have an e-learning blog and then all of a sudden you're going to kind of put a travel guide into your local neighborhood, whatever, you know, I understand that. It just doesn't make sense and it's not contextually relevant. However, where does it stop becoming contextually relevant? When you do try like a new topic or a new wayward, like something that's a little bit on the outskirts of where you usually write, or something that, you know, is relevant in some way that, you know, but then Google decides that it's unhelpful because it's, you know, you know, something that you wrote for search ranking purposes. But the thing is what I'm saying is that a piece of content can still be on, like, you know, a semi-relevant blog or a semi-relevant site, but it can still be helpful content. It can still be like a really good piece, even if it was written for search ranking purposes. You know, it still can be like a really good content piece. It's and that kind of, you know, just aligning unhelpful content with, you know, the fact that it was ranked for search ranking purposes. Like every piece of content, you know, it's not often the well, you know, except for obviously bloggers that have no connection with us and they're just blogging, right, for their own sole purpose. Everything is with that in mind, right? You're looking for the opportunity of like ranking high and getting traffic to your website. So, you know, the whole, it kind of, yeah, like I said, it seems to have like this, you know, this kind of contradiction somewhere, which I'm trying to pinpoint exactly what that is. So
no, I understand where the kind of like a piece of content can be helpful, even if it's done by, you know, a blogger or a company that doesn't offer those services and, you know, doesn't have, you know, for example, me as a digital marketing manager for Vixen, if I put a blog up about, you know, I don't know, something that I'm interested in about fantasy books. I love reading fantasy books. And I wrote a blog about fantasy books and I put it on the Vixen site. I would be doing it for like branding purposes and stuff, not for ranking, you know, just to kind of introduce maybe the audience to the people who are working in Vixen. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to try and rank with that, yeah, because the audience that would come for fantasy books are not looking for digital marketing support. I mean, some of them might, but as a whole, it's not like a strategy. It's not a smart strategy. So I think ultimately what this is going to do, I'm not saying Google is perfect. And I mean, we've seen like people getting hit with helpful content, update that really, you know, you kind of think, why did this website like tank? Because they obviously do those things. But as a whole, as an idea, I think it's a good idea, because I'm sick of kind of people just focusing on like volume rather than looking at intent of the traffic rather than looking at whether that traffic that that comes in is going to convert, whether they're interested in your service, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think Google does look at adjacent topics. It's not like the algorithm is smart enough to understand that even when your blog is kind of a bit further away from your service, it still is connected to your service. So, for example, I was writing a blog for a platform that was doing videos and stuff. They don't do internal mobility, huh? It's not something that they do, but internal mobility is one of their use cases. So the blog that I wrote ranked really well, even though it was about internal mobility, because I was writing about using video for internal mobility programs. I kind of connected it very clearly to the brand and to the use case. So that makes sense. But
Yeah, I guess.
yeah.
I mean, following on from that, I guess one of the points to pick up on there is that, well, that these, and like it's like, I think one of the top one of the first tweets here is that from Sean K is kind of singling out these large authority news sites, and that they often they have this strategy that they will write things that are kind of completely unrelated content, purely targeting search engines, which is pretty much what they say. So why is it that like these sites who are high DA sites can get away with it then?
When you look at all of those sites,
and it's going to be because they're news sites, right?
They're news sites, exactly. So the sheer what they do, their business model is to write about different things, because it's not about what they're writing about. It's kind of
but that's it. But is it? That's the thing, is that but is it? Should we be putting them on this kind of like this pedestal? Like, should they have this pedestal and this kind of ultimate, like, they'll always rank, because that's where they're like this, the parasite SEO kind of things coming in at the moment, where people are leveraging that with like a high domain authority site, DA site, or a popular website that has a lot of power. They buy or they get some kind of post on there, or however they get it on there, to obviously focus on their keyword and then put all of their affiliate links in that post. And then they're exploiting that because they know that these sites are going to rank highly, because these sites can kind of get this free reign to write about anything that they want and then rank highly for it. So I think you also have these issues, I guess, where that can be exploited, where these sites are kind of put on these pedestals and they almost have this tyranny over the search engine results.
No, look, I completely agree that there is like, if you have enough money, you can get those type of things and strategies into these like highly rated. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but it happens. I studied journalism, so I have a bit of a soft spot about journalism. And what this does, it's not a question of search engines. It's a question of journalistic, ethics, and how publishers are working these days as well. And it's a much wider kind of question. But ultimately, in terms of search engines and how they are deciding whether news publishers are going to rank or not, it really has to do with the nature of news, which is up to date, current, and something that the public, it's like something that the public needs to know and is interested in. So there is that bit of it.
Well, I think that sorry, I just stopped presenting the screen now. I think that obviously news, this is news is news, right? So news, and I do, but then I do think there's obviously questions to come into effect. Well, how do we judge news sites, and what content should they be focusing on? Because basically Google then is the arbiter of deciding who, you should stick to your niche, right? Stick to your category. Oh no, you can't have an opinion on this because you're an e-learning expert. There's no way you can have an opinion on this issue. And then which is it I think that's where obviously like a couple of the things come in as well, is because, well, actually that's a problem, because obviously people will have different opinions that are outside of their expertise, like, and you shouldn't obviously pigeonhole people to only be allowed to talk about certain issues. You should allow people to have the freedom to talk about a whole variety of issues and a whole variety of things. When it comes to news and obviously current events and current affairs and stuff, subject matter is different, but I understand that the change does promote that. Well, if you do want to develop your like the e-learning example, e-learning business, to now start to focus more on, I don't know, higher education, right? And you're doing more higher education and you want to become an authority in higher education as well, is that it's more looking towards focusing you on to a long-term strategy to develop that expertise in not only yourself, in the people that you work with, and how that part of your business builds, but also how Google can see that in terms of all the signals that you have throughout, you know, the kind of digital ecosystem, I guess, on how you're increasing your expertise and trust, or EEAT really, in that in that industry. So
Yeah. No, I know. You can have an opinion. I think Google is not saying you can't have an opinion. Obviously, you can write about whatever you want. The question is whether you want the traffic that's coming through search.
we
And
all want the traffic, Emina.
yeah, but if you want the traffic, presumably you want the right traffic. And what this does is says, hang on a minute, you should focus on your right traffic for the user and for your business. So maybe I'm like looking at it from like rose
No,
color.
it's good. No, it's good. It's good to kind of get into it. It's a good discussion. I'm not sure we'll have time for the links because I've finished my coffee and I'm now on to water. Yeah, I think we can probably leave the links maybe to another week, but we can go to room 404, because one of the things this week, and maybe some people might call us lazy with this, but actually I'm putting a case forward to actually put GA4 back into room 404 again this week, because they've changed the admin panel. So in GA4, you had the existing admin panel that was fine, but they've changed it again now. Now, it's not like a massive change, things that, but they've changed. So all the content that has been produced by people to help other people, you know, get better with GA4 and navigate GA4, and all of that content is now outdated within the space of a couple of months, right? So you've got people who were literally last week working on new content around GA4, and now that's outdated because the admin panel's changed, or the layout of the admin panel's changed. So I'm a bit puzzled by that decision.
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, GA4 is in a room 410, never to be found again. I absolutely I really dislike it. I saw the new admin panel, and you're right. From a user perspective, I like what they've done with the new design. I think it's a little bit more clear and a little bit more user-friendly. However, it is completely mad how quickly they've done it. And you're right, there is a lot of content creators that are, you know, pulling their hair out because they've just managed to get out really useful content, and now already it's out of date. So
yeah, well, that's it. Even like we have a GA4 checklist. We have a bit of GA4 content around, you know, on our blog, that obviously all focuses around, you know, going to the admin panel and doing something like with setting up conversion tracking or events or whatever it might be, referral exclusion, all of this kind of stuff. And that is, that's all outdated now, really. Which, so you know, you need to update all of that content, and there's like 4 or 5 pieces of content. So if there's people that have actually gone even further down, and actually they've done like a whole, you know, series of content on GA4, and maybe even courses, you know, GA4 courses that now have to be completely changed because of that change. So yeah, room 404. We should probably start a tally for how many times GA4 gets put into room 404. So yeah, this week GA4, room 404 again, I'm afraid.
yeah, I agree. And I also am happy that you're the one who was creating those articles for GSO, and I do not need to now go back and redo them.
That's true. That's true. Right. Good to catch up, Emina. I'll speak to you later, I'm sure. But yeah, thanks again for a good chat. And yeah, we'll see you, everybody else, next week when we have another catch up. Thanks, everyone. See you.
Later.